Welcome to the Art Lady's home. Today is day 2 of the turkey. Last night after we had turkey dinner, I went ahead and sliced off the meat from the breasts on both sides. And now I've been starting to pull off any big pieces right here that just come off easily off the bone. I'll show you what I've peeled so far. And this is going to be perfect for some turkey salad that I'm going to go ahead and make for lunches in the next few days. Depending on how much meat I get, this was a pretty small turkey. It's about a 12.5 pounder. I usually cook a 20 pounder, so it was pretty small. So it depends on how much meat I get, whether I freeze some or not. I just want enough for say 2 to 3 days for turkey salad. I don't want to have my salad spoil after I've work so hard on it. So if I have a lot of meat, I'll go ahead and throw some in the freezer. I'm not going to scrape the bones completely because I do want a lot of this in my soup. But like I said, any of the big chunks I'm going to pull off to pop in for turkey salad right in here. So I'm going to go ahead and finish cleaning this bones, and then I'll show you how much meat I've got off the turkey, and then I'll show you what's left of my bones that are going to go in for soup, because all this stuff is going to flavor the soup nice. I don't want it to have lots and lots of meat. Sometimes my turkey soup ends up swimming with too much meat. I want it more vegetables and broth. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and I'll let you know what it looks like when I'm done. Okay, I've got quite a bit of the meat off the carcass, and I'm just going to go ahead. You can see here it's pretty, but there's still quite a bit of meat left, but this is going to flavor the soup nicely. So I'm going to go ahead, throw that in my pot. I've got a pretty big pot here. Oh, that's a pretty big piece I can use for turkey salad. I've got a pretty big pot here. I don't want that grizzle in the salad. It's a 12-quart pot, so I'm going to throw this part of the carcass in. And if I need to break it up, I want it to be submerged. So I want to make sure that it can get inside that pot. I may have to break some of it. Now I'm going to go ahead and clean up some of these legs here. I may just throw these in the soup right now, let them cook up a little bit. That way all this gel stuff, which is the gravy, just cooks in with it. Then I'll pull them off and separate the meat. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to throw that in. I don't want the neck to go in because when I cook the neck up, it's too many little pieces. So I like to just take the meat off the neck right now and throw it into either the soup or the turkey salad. So I'm going to put the neck to the side here because that just has too many small bones that dissolve into the soup, and I don't like that. Now I'm going to go ahead, I'll throw this in. We picked off a lot of the meat yesterday for dinner. So I'm going to throw that in. I'm going to throw my wings in. Any big pieces. This is just a huge piece of fat here. So I'm going to just throw that out because I don't want to have excess fat. Now, all of this was my gravy, my leftover carrots from dinner. And I'm just going to throw all of this into the soup. But I don't want this excess skin. So anything I find in here I don't want, I'm going to pick through. Here's some excess skin too that just stuck in here. So all of this gelatinous stuff is going to be a nice gravy, and this is and it'll be part of the soup. This was my nice gravy from last night's dinner. So all of this is going in. I will cut up the carrots a little bit smaller. And here's a big piece of meat, which I think I'm just going to clean and put in my turkey salad. This is going to be loaded with meat as it is. So that goes in the turkey salad bowl. So I have some turkey salad, and I'm going to clean off some more of the leg bones. I'm going to let them cook a little bit first. A little bit more in the soup. Oh, I want the fat out of here. So I'm pulling off any fat that was at the bottom of the pan. Now all of this stuff is going to be put into the soup. Yikes. Let's see if I can shut this off. Okay, I trimmed up or cut up the carrots So they weren't just big chunks of carrots. I like mine bite size in the soup. I missed a couple of them here, so I'm just trimming them. Now I'm going to go ahead and put all of this leftovers into the soup. This would also make a great leftover turkey pot pie too. But that's not on my meal for this week. We're going to do turkey salad, and we're going to do turkey tetrazzini and sliced turkey sandwiches and soup. That's what I'm going to make out of my turkey. But this would be great because it's a great starter for a turkey pot pie right here. That would be absolutely delicious. But we're not. Here's my pot here with the carcass in here. I kind of pushed it in and broke it a little bit so it would fit in because I want my bones to be as much submerged as I can. And I'm not making a humongous pot of soup. I want about probably 6 quarts, so it's going to be, or under 6 quarts. So it's going to be a little bit less than half here. So I'm going to go ahead now and throw in all of this stuff, which is just going to be delicious because it's going to be all the drippings from the turkey when I cooked it. And actually, when I did cook the turkey, I put about 1.5 cups of water at the bottom too. This is all just pure flavor here, which is going to make a perfect base for my soup. And I'm going to cook this approximately 3 hours. After an hour, I always check it, and I want to pull the carcass when the bones are just starting to fall apart. But I want to leave the carcass in as long as I can. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add some water to this right here until it's a little bit under the bone. I want to see if I can get this big guy bit down here a little bit more. Yeah, right there. And I'm going to check it in about an hour so I can pull some of these leg bones out because I don't want all of the meat to dissolve in, and then I have all those little tendons that are stuck in that are a pain to get out if I can't find them. So I'm going to check it after an hour. I'm going to put right now, I'm going to fill my water to just meeting the tops of these bones here. And then I'm going to put it on the stove on a medium-high heat just to heat up the pan. And then once it's in a light simmer, I'm going to shut it off, turn the temperature down and keep it on a light simmer. I'm going to put my cover on so my pot heats up quick. And I'll show you when everything's simmering. Into the soup is going to go 1 package of baby carrots cut up into small little bite-sized pieces. That's 1/2 of a package of celery, and I'm going to chop that up into small bite-sized pieces as well. And then I'm using 2 really large sweet onions. I believe they're Vidalia onions. I'm going to chop them up as well and put them in the pot. Here is the soup. You can see the water's just below the bone, a little bit below it, and it's coming to a little bit of a simmer. So now I'm going to go ahead and turn my heat down. I did have it on medium-high, and so I'm going to turn it down to a simmer now and throw in all of my vegetables. I'm going to now add the celery and carrots to the pot while I cut up the onions. And I cut the celery very, very fine. And like I said, the carrots are just bite-sized pieces. I want the celery flavors to open up and dissolve into the soup. Celery adds a great flavor to lots of things, especially with turkey salad, and all soups. It's really good. So it's pretty fine, the celery. And then there's my nice carrots right there. I'm going to cover that and bring it back up to a simmer. I want to submerge these vegetables here. This is still not that hot, but that's why I can touch it with my hands. Oh, hey, we're getting some steam here. Okay, and now I'm going to go ahead and put my onions in. I've cut them up pretty small as well. And that is a good start for the soup. And I'm going to let this simmer for an hour with the cover on. Okay, after an hour, right here, I'm checking it, and it smells really good. I'm going to let it cook a little bit longer for the meat. The tendons are coming off pretty easy. I might pull some of these leg bones just so that I don't end up with the tendons all in the soup, which is hard to pick out. I might pull off the legs and take the meat off right now. And I'll leave the carcass in there to continue to cook for a little bit longer. It's just starting to fall apart now. I'm going to do it for about another half an hour, and then I'll pull the big carcass out. I'm going to see, though, if I can get some of this meat off this bone so I can put this in the salad, the meat for the turkey salad. But then I'll let it go for another half hour more, the whole carcass. I just cleaned the turkey legs and the wings, and then I had some more leftover turkey in this bowl. So I have almost a full bowl here that I'm going to use for turkey salad. So this will be my turkey salad, and then whatever comes off the main carcass will be put in back into the soup as soon as I'm done that. So I'm going to go ahead and refrigerate this and then wait for this to simmer for another half hour, 45 minutes. And then I will clean the main carcass and put that into the soup. I just removed the carcass from the soup, and I turned up the soup a little bit higher. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove all the meat that's left over. I'm just going to sit here at the counter and pick off all the little tiny pieces here of leftover meat. The carcass is just about to fall apart, and that's how I like to cook it, right before it starts falling apart. Then I don't have to pick out all those little bones. So I took that slotted spoon and stirred through the soup to see if there was any pieces that came off. There's just a few little hunks of like fat and a few little tendons that I found in the soup. But other than that, it seems to be pretty boneless. And now I'm going to just go through this real good and pull off all the meat. I got about 2 cups of meat off of that. So I'm going to go ahead and put that in and simmer it for a little bit longer. I'm going to simmer that. The total cook time's between 3.5 hours. I really like to have my vegetables pretty soft. And it was on very low for the first 2 hours. So I'm now going to bring it up to more of a kind of rapid simmer. Let me see if I can get that on here and show you. Kind of a rolling, let's bring it over here, like a rolling simmer. Like that. I'm going to go ahead and cover that and cook that until my veggies are tender. And it's smelling delicious. At this time, what you can do is you can taste it and see if it needs any seasoning. Mine may be seasoned enough because I had a lot of seasoning in my turkey dinner when I cooked it. So I will try it. You can see, look, that's adding nothing to that. It was even pretty salty. Yeah, I'm not going to add much. If anything, I'll just add another half a tablespoon, a couple teaspoons of herbes de Provence, and that's about it. Because like I said, I had tons of seasoning in the turkey dinner. Just a little bit. It's salty enough, so I'm good on the salt. Here is the herbes de Provence. So I'll add probably 2 teaspoons of that. And then I'll be good for flavor. it has a heavy turkey flavor to it. And this may be very hardly any grease, I think, in here. I don't think it's going to. When it cools, it'll float to the top and harden. And so I usually just pick off little bits of it if there's any, but it doesn't seem to be too much here. Looks really nice. But I want to dissolve these onions a little bit more, and I want the celery to dissolve. My carrots are almost, yeah, they're nice and tender right now. So I'm going to cook it, but I like it cooked a little bit longer. So I'm going to go ahead and cover that. I'm getting steam here because it's cold tonight. So I'm going to cook it a little bit longer. And that's all there is to it. And I hope you enjoy your homemade turkey soup.